Hey everyone. So I saw over the weekend a really funny thread going on Reddit discussing um, an interesting story coming out of the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill, just this big new tax bill going through the U.S. House and Senate. It recently passed right before the weekend. But there are some funny comments that led me to a article from GamePressure.com written by Matt Buckley discussing U.S. Representative Steve Scalise, who was justifying the cuts to Medicare and Medicaid because of unemployed gamers. And, 35-year-old gamers sitting in mom's basement just playing video games all day. They don't have a job. They're not doing anything. Anyway, funny article, well written by Matt Buckley. He includes a number of statistics in here I wanted to discuss. But first, let's look at the clip. Just want to see what exactly Steve was saying and talk about it.
If you're disabled on Medicaid right now, you've been crowded out of those programs by people turning down work. Able-bodied people, 35.
Okay, able-bodied people. So first, just to discuss Medicaid and Medicare so we can learn a little bit about those. So Medicaid is a program designed for low-income individuals, families, pregnant women, disabled people, people who are going to school full-time so they can't work a full-time job that would allow them to afford private, affordable health care. And then there's Medicare, which is for people 65 plus who are like retirement age and don't have a job. So, healthcare becomes a challenge to afford. So right off the bat, Medicare, that's not even qualifying. But then secondly, there are a number of statistics that we can discuss a bit in relation to um, Steve's comments that I wanted to share. And Matt Buckley brings them up in his article about the Kaiser Family Foundation. So this group, nonprofit focused on health policy, shared some statistics in 2023. There's about 26 million Americans that fall into the qualifying category for Medicaid. And of those, about 8% are the not working due to retirement, inability to find work, or other reasons. So, like this miscellaneous pool where people could potentially be abusing that system. And so, otherwise, the rest are disabled or they're parents who are caregiving, pregnant, etc. They're going to school full time. So the crazy thing about this is about roughly 2 million people who could potentially be abusing the system, just potentially, not verified, not are, potentially. Um, because of that pool, 26 million people overall are going to be punished by the fact that these cuts are going to take place. And the way that these cuts work is, and I have some statistics from American Progress, about $1 trillion is what the cuts are expected to be from the Congressional Budget Office. How these cuts would work is, let's say last year there were $2 trillion to allocate towards health programs throughout the United States. Now the federal government would only give 1 trillion. So what will often happen is for these state programs, they'll get the funding and then they will allocate those further down to parts of their state that need it. And what is going to happen for sure is community-based health programs and public outreach health programs are going to be cut first, right? Because we have to support hospital systems, we have to support doctors, critical infrastructure that allows states to provide health to people. So, if we have an expectation that the needy are still going to be taken care of, well, you can probably forget about that. And a big part of it is because look at any city in the United States. There's homeless people everywhere. So to that extent, like how can we imagine that if we have all this funding now, we cut the funding and then all of a sudden people are going to be still taken care of or taken care of more? It's just unreasonable to think that. So anyway, let's continue this clip here.
5-year-olds sitting at home playing video games. They're going to now have to go
All
get a
right, no
job. That's
judgment
right.
here.
And by the way,
Go
that's a
get a
good thing for
job.
them.
So, a couple things. Anecdotally, I have a job. I also have a ton of video games. I don't play video games in a basement, but I do play them. But also, we're kind of looking at here, Bureau of Labor Statistics. In June 2025, unemployment is 4.1%. It's the lowest basically it's ever been in 20 years outside of the years leading up to COVID, right before it happened. So, who out there is unemployed? who's qualifying for these programs. It's really not the case. The majority of people on Medicaid, um, they work full time and they still can't afford healthcare. It's kind of crazy, but that's not the 35-year-old gamer's fault. And to be the brunt of politicians, a stomping ground for politicians, is very upsetting from the gamer community lens, in my perspective. Somehow gamers are both simultaneously violent and likely to hurt people and also lazy and just hanging out on their couch all day in the basement. And again, not diverse, a hateful group partaking in a juvenile hobby, whereas, 200 million Americans are playing video games 1 hour a week, according to this article that I'm reading, 2024 Essential Facts About U.S. Video Game Industry Report. So the math just doesn't math in those situations, I guess. So, anyways, let's see what Steve has to say.
Them. Their mom doesn't want them sitting in the basement playing video games anyway, but now it no longer
Maybe mom's
will be
playing games with
crowding
them.
out
Maybe they're hanging out
Medicaid
playing
for the
Candy Crush.
truly needy people who deserve it. The disabled people will not be getting crowded out of those programs.
Okay, the disabled are not getting crowded out of the programs because other people are using them. Reducing the number of dollars that the programs get and then resultingly the states cutting those programs is what's going to crowd them out. That's just the reality. And what this is going to do ultimately is it's going to delay people getting um, regular health care, like annual checkups or biannual checkups, and resolving things when they come up, as opposed to, putting off the fact that they didn't qualify, they don't have health care, they can't afford whatever new stipulations are in place. And then resultingly in 20 years, they get like a serious illness and they have to go get that treated under the public health system. And it costs the taxpayer way more money than if we just gave them a few dollars to like go see their doctor each year. So, so that's going to crowd people out of the system. Not we have all this money, we have to cut it, and now that's going to help people get healthcare.
People who can actually go get a job, and there are going to be a lot of great jobs, Mr. Speaker, a lot of great jobs.
And again, there are a lot of jobs, but people already have jobs, like most people. So anyway, yeah, very interesting article. What I wanted to do as well is just talk a bit about some of the funny Reddit comments that we saw on this post that I was reading from Gamer News. The GOP is using lazy gamers as their welfare queen. So let's see here. Amazing Mr. Brock. Gaming is kind of an expensive hobby. I don't know how I could afford it without a job. Yeah, true. I mean, just think about consoles, video game graphics cards, physical video games or digital ones if you buy them. I mean, that's all expensive stuff, man. There's no way that your mom is buying all those things for you for hanging out in the basement all day. And if they are, that's a life of luxury, dude. Like, good for you. All right. So comically online, they've been doing this since video games were a thing. That's true. That's true. I just cited a couple reasons. Violence, for example, has always been kind of a linchpin. On Super Nintendo, if you're playing Mario 3 on Mario All-Stars collection, you were likely to go out and beat somebody, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if gamers caused COVID because of their germs or something. I don't know. Games and guns. This is how you can tell people are out of touch if they think we can afford $3,000 video cards and $80 games without. True, true. Such privileged view. They act like if you want a job, it magically happens. Throwback gaming. That's true. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of job postings out there where they're not even actually hiring for the jobs. That's just a filler for public visibility, for people to think they are hiring, to have a reference pool for later if they do hire. So, best of luck in finding a job. That's tough. Yeah, throwback gaming, best of luck for you. Why are they targeting Asmongold? Oh, oh no. Called out Rhino Fish Dog. Okay, that's pretty funny. I'm gonna stop it there. So anyway, it's tough to be the brunt of attacks for these kind of folks. It's just not true. When you look at the statistics, the math, it's just kind of a weak justification overall, in my opinion. So, anyways, curious what your thoughts are on these comments. If you like the video, please like the video and subscribe. Would love to have you join the community. And as always, thanks for checking out the video. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time. Peace.